aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two friends who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm Courtney.
And I'm MK.
And how are you?
I literally was so prepared for what I was going to talk about when you asked me that, and it has entirely left my brain immediately as you said that. Um, I am good. Um, this week has been so long just because I've just still been doing nothing but testing. So it's been exhausting. But this weekend was Dan's mom's birthday. And so we did a birthday dinner for her, and she picked a movie for her birthday, which is like fun. She picked what movie we watched for her birthday dinner. But she picked a movie specifically because I had not seen it, and it was one of her favorite movies, and she wanted to force it upon me. Um, and when I tell you that I haven't seen it, you're gonna be in shock because
Okay.
it's 25 years old at this point.
I mean, look, who am I to judge?
Uh, it was The Born Identity.
Okay, so here's the thing about Born Identity. I didn't watch those shows. I watched high school, so it's been a minute.
Yeah.
I got obsessed with those movies. I almost bought the books recently. I just loved them so much. I don't know what it is. Give me a CIA, like CIA, I don't even know what branch it is. Whatever. Give me a like thriller about the spy people, and I just come on. So
Yeah.
what'd you
Well,
think? Did you watch the whole trilogy?
no, we just watched one. It
Oh,
was this
false.
was
Well,
last
you
night.
made a
Well,
mistake.
here's the thing. It was a Sunday night. We could only watch so much. I have agreed to
Don't
watch the second
don't
one.
start something you can't
I
finish.
have agreed to watch the second one. But the thing is, I didn't dislike it. I didn't love it. But the movie was very 2000s.
I mean, sure, I haven't watched it in years, so I don't know what to say.
And And B, I don't really like Matt Damon that much. I don't think he's that great of an actor.
Yeah,
Um,
that's really fair.
and I'm not a big action movie person. So like the thrillery aspects of it, I did enjoy. Um, I did get nervous because watching people blow up Paris when I'm about to be there in 2 months is really not
Sure.
my favorite thing.
Yeah, that's not really the vibe.
Yeah, but I didn't hate it by any means. The thing that's just very difficult for me while watching this is trying to understand why this is her favorite movie. Because, like, she's the kind of person who says bad word over people when they say bad words in movies. She does not like anything with violence in it. She gets uncomfortable when, like, cartoons punch each other.
Did y'all like bond over like early Hitchcock stuff, like
Yes,
Rear Window and
yes, she likes
such?
like classics, but even then she
Right.
finds them a little bit scary. Like she doesn't, she
But
likes.
that's also very different than this. Like
Correct.
this
Like
isn't what I would have
she
thought.
likes like early Hitchcock stuff. She likes classic films. She likes movie musicals. Like, but the Bourne movies and NCIS are her like go-to comfort things to watch.
Interesting.
And David and I literally can't figure it out. Like every time he says something about a movie his mom likes, I just look at him and I go, "Who is this woman?" And he was like, "I have been wondering that for almost 30 years." It's like, yeah.
Well, that is very shocking. That is not what I thought you were doing. Also, I'd like to know you joined this family that started with like doing 17 different board game rooms. And now it's like we're gonna just do a cash movie night
No, no,
for
no.
a group
That's his.
of it.
So his cousins, his aunt, uncle,
Okay.
and his cousins are the too much gene.
Gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha.
when it's just the six of us, it's like his mom and me and him and his three siblings. Like when it's just the six of us, it is very much not bad. It is very much like we made lasagna and watched a movie and ate carrot cake and went home. Like it was not. Yeah,
Got it. Got it.
it is his extended family that is wild. But
Amazing.
yeah,
Perfect.
so that was it really. I didn't do a lot this week. It just
Yeah.
existed.
I think I watched the board movies when I had my wisdom teeth out. So it was like
Oh,
maybe my sophomore year of high
so
school.
you were high
Like
when you watched it.
no, this was post that. So when I had my wisdom teeth out, I was down for 2 weeks and I couldn't take pain meds because I don't react well to pain meds. So I took a pain med day one, immediately threw up everywhere, and then was like, guess I'm just gonna take Tylenol and hope for the best. And so that's what I did. So I was not high. I was just I needed
Mhm.
some distraction. And I just
That's
like binged it that weekend. I watched it over and over. Like I just couldn't stop watching it. And
that's
I
fair.
just loved them.
What kind of pain meds were it that made you throw up?
Just normal kinds.
Mm.
Like Loratab or something. Whatever they give you for like
Yeah. So
I just can't take pain meds. I get sick every time.
so when I had my surgery when I was 12, they gave me Percocet maybe? I don't know, one of
Yeah.
the yeah, like one of those like hydrocodone or Percocet or something like that. And they also immediately made me throw up. And even though it was like a very small dose because it was for a 12-year-old, but it still immediately made
Right.
me throw up, which of course was really bad because the stitches they were trying to heal
Mhm.
were on my abdomen, so vomiting was not ideal.
Sure. I mean, same. My mouth
Yeah.
situation.
But they wrote me a different prescription for codeine, and it has never bothered me. So if you're ever in a
Mm.
situation where you need pain pills, try codeine.
You know, I think I'm gonna just suck it up. Like when I had those like 14 stitches in my thumb and during the COVID times, they just
Yeah.
gave me extra strength Tylenol and they were like, here. And I was like,
Well,
okay,
okay,
cool.
cool.
I mean it wasn't fun, but I
No,
survived, obviously.
obviously.
They
No,
were
I
concerned I was gonna die. I lost a lot of blood.
love
They
that.
checked my they checked me like 4 times and they were like, do you feel okay? I'm like, yeah, and they're like I was like white. Like it was rough. But I'm fine. And I didn't have pain meds then and I survived. So
Fair enough, fair enough.
extra strength Tylenol, I guess, is the I was like the prescribed one, so it's like what, like extra strength and a half or something.
Yeah.
Like I mean, but it's still Tylenol. Like if I did 3 extra strength Tylenol,
I
probably.
mean, to be fair, most of the time what I take is I have prescription strength. It's just Aleve, but regular
Yeah.
Aleve is 220 milligrams and my prescription is 500 milligrams.
Oh,
So,
it's like double.
yeah.
Just double dose it a little bit.
So,
Um, yeah.
but
Oh yeah, so that's boring. I'm also hit or miss on Matt Damon. I will say, he came into the bar when I was working there and I didn't talk to him. Everyone's like, why did you go talk to Matt Damon? I'm like, I was busy. Like, it's just one of those things that
yeah.
I was like, ah, he seems busy.
Yeah.
I'm busy. And
Right.
but everyone else that was there that did talk to him said he was very nice and he
He
was with
seemed
an appropriately aged woman, which I was shocked about. So
he seems like a fairly normal person compared to a lot of people in Hollywood.
yeah.
And to be fair, I love Good Will Hunting.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I'm very hit or miss on him. I don't think he's
I
that great
mean,
of an actor. I think he's pretty mediocre.
well, he
Um,
falls into that like 2000s like acting category of like Matt Damon and Ben Affleck and there's another guy that I just had in my head that has disappeared, but it's like everyone's just like they're fine. They just did all the early 2000s movies like
yeah.
and so
No,
whatever, but
I think
yeah.
he is both in acting ability and looks the most generic white man that could ever
For sure. For sure.
exist. And I don't
Yeah.
begrudge him that. It's just not my jam.
Yeah.
So,
No, that's fine. I do like support identity. Um, yeah.
how are you?
What did I do? I was like, what is the next step? I'm tired, obviously. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be tired until when do we stop sharing pre-recorded episodes? August
August,
13th.
yeah,
Um,
mid-August.
check back mid-August. That's when I'll be better. Maybe I don't want to take another exam on August 20th, so maybe check back like November. I don't know. Um, but yeah, I'm tired. I'm just studying a lot. But I did have a very exciting weekend. It was like an hour a week. That was exciting. Um, our library was doing a book sale, and I think I talked about it last week.
Yeah.
But it was so much fun. We went over to like Dutch and they were like, take, I meant to have a show and tell. They were like, take all these DVDs. We're just throwing them out. Like, these aren't even for sale. Just take them. And so I got 4 DVDs, and one of them was Red Dragon. And I was like, I know we've already covered it, but like, may as well have a copy on the shelf.
Nice.
Um, I don't remember what other movies I got, so I'm no help. Oh, I got Rocky Horror Picture Show. I got that too. That was the other one I
Nice.
was super excited about. And then I got like 15 books or something. I only spent $24.
Not
And
bad.
I got like the full Meg Cabot series, the Abandoned series. Do
Okay.
you know that one?
No, I know Meg
Um,
Cabot, but I only really know
yeah,
Meg Cabot's
Princess
why
Diaries
like
era.
her YA stuff, yeah.
Yeah. So this is also YA fantasy. I believe it's YA fantasy.
Okay.
But it was post her YA era.
Okay.
So
Cool.
like it didn't fall into that earlier. Because I read like there was another series she did. I never read Princess Diaries,
I did.
but there was another series she did at a similar time that had like 20 books, and I read that one and I loved it. And I read a couple of her done like some like chick lit or something for like adult reading. Like I read a couple of those that were really good. So I'm
Nice.
excited, but I have so it's the full set of that one. It's a trilogy. I got the Neil deGrasse Tyson book, mostly
Nice.
for my shelf. It's about this thing. I could have read it standing there, but I just was like that'd be nice to put on my shelf. I got the first Game of Thrones book, so maybe I'll go back and read it. I keep saying I will.
Yeah.
But they have like so many good ones. A couple of horror anthologies, and I think there was something else that I was like, how did this end up here? I need it. But I don't remember. But yeah, it was just like it was such a good selection too. It was, and there was like 1,000 Tom Clancy books. I did not get any of the Tom Clancy books, but there was
Yeah.
like a whole like slew
Yeah.
of them.
It's
Much
okay.
fun.
I did, in fact, learn that as long as I didn't turn my Kindle on in my house where I'm connected to the
Oh
Wi-Fi,
yeah,
I never lost my book.
great,
And now I have it back on loan again, like at my library, and it's back
nice.
to me. So I'm already 60% of the way through the book.
I saw that you had updated recently.
Yeah.
I told Mary Kate I'm not going to my book club tonight because I have an essay that I have to submit when we get done here, and I'm only halfway finished writing it because lunch is only so long.
Yeah.
And I didn't finish my book, but we're reading Blood Over Bright Haven, and it's really good. Like I've read like a quarter of it. Um, it's like 400 pages, but it's a really good like fantasy, and I know what it's about now. Last time I didn't know what it was about. But it's about the girl. She's like the first woman to become a high mage. Is it mage or mage? I don't know how to say
Mage,
it. I
it's
say
mage.
mage. Okay. I
Yeah.
was like, I say mage, but I think I've only ever read it. Um, so
It's
she's the first
okay.
woman. Go ahead.
The word that I had only ever read for a significantly long amount of time, and then I realized that I was like never saying it correctly, is key, but spelled Quay. Like when you're talking about
Quay?
Quay, like when you're talking about a peer, that word is key.
I don't even know that word. Like even when you spell it, I don't know it.
It's a very British word, but then it's also like weird.
Oh,
It's
okay.
also weirdly in a lot of books that are just about like port cities.
Oh, I don't read a lot about horses. I guess is that like historical fiction books mostly then?
Kind of. The book I'm reading right now is high fantasy, but like it happens to be on a city that has a port and in the city, and so they talk about the key.
Interesting.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
learned.
I would not have known that one. But yeah, so she's the first woman to become a high mage, and so like everyone's basically, they're mean to her because
Of
they
course.
think she was like they like the whole premise is that there's this city and they do like a high mage competition every year to add new mages in and let women try every 10 years because they've never had one get in, so they're not gonna waste their time on them, essentially is what the whole idea is.
Nice.
Of course she gets in. I mean, I don't and no spoilers, and it is like pages of the book before you know that, but like
Yeah.
open the book and you know it. So and so now she's going through the trials and tribulations of being the first woman mage, and like think she's gonna have like a love affair with the guy that's her assistant that like isn't a true research guy because they just threw someone at her because no one cares that she's a woman. Um, so I'm interested to hear more about that,
Yeah.
but it hasn't happened yet. So
Yeah. That's okay.
got a very booky
I'm
weekend.
on I'm on chapter 49 of the book, and Christina's on chapter 14, and she goes, I'm not gonna ask you for details, I'm not gonna ask you for spoilers, but like they get together, right? Like this is where this is going, right? And I was like, technically, no, nothing has happened yet. Yes, but also no, for sure.
Mm.
And I went online and got like the list of where the spicy chapters in the book are, and it said chapter 46 was spicy. I just texted the girls, I go, the internet lied. Chapter 46, not spicy.
Wired.
I was
Yeah, I
like,
thought this
just, I was
was,
like, so just so you know, like, I know you guys are racing to get there. It's not there. So,
it's not there yet. Keep hanging in there. Yeah, I thought this was gonna be like an enemy to lovers fantasy
mm,
story, but I really hate the enemy guy, and I really don't think it's gonna be him. I think he's gonna like get punched in the face, which seems a little more ideal right now. So, um, but yeah, so I've just been reading some books and doing some stuff. I'm still reading Dawn of the Woods, which was supposed to be my book club with my other book club, the one that I didn't go to because Rachel was having a baby. Um, so I'm still reading that, which is also it's also very good. It's newer, or at least it's newer known. It's like what everybody's talking about right now. Um, so I highly recommend both of those. But before we get into our actual content for today, can you give us a little razzle dazzle?
sure. In hospitals, they say you know when you're going to die. Some doctors say it's a look patients get in their eyes. Some say there's a scent, the smell of death. Some think there's just some kind of sixth sense when the great beyond is heading for you. You feel it coming. Whatever it is, it's creepy. Because if you know, what do you do about it? Forget about the fact that you're scared out of your mind. If you knew this was your last day on earth, how would you want to spend it?
Razzle dazzle.
No.
No, it was a little bit existential crisis. But that's fine. That's okay. Yep, we're all gonna die one day, so thanks for confirming. And at least I guess we don't know when, because that sounds
Yeah.
scary to know when.
That does sound
So,
scary. I genuinely think that that would be like the worst to know. Like people are always like, if you knew when you were gonna die, what like would you want to? If you like knew
no,
for sure you were gonna get this disease, if you knew what your timeline was, would you want to know? And the answer is absolutely not.
I would rather you kill me than tell me when I'm gonna die.
Correct.
Like 100%, because I have so much anxiety. Like I have so much like daily anxiety for like appointments that I'm like I have to like think this through, and I get like paralysis waiting on appointments to start. Can you imagine how waiting on death? Like no, absolutely not. I would just rather die than you tell me that. That's why the book The Measure. If you haven't read the book The Measure, I cannot remember who it's by, but it was pretty hit last year. Nikki Ehrlich, maybe it's Nikki something. Um, it's similar vibes. They send I think I talked about it. It's the one where they send everyone a piece of string in a box, and you can open your box or not. And the length of the string is how long your life is. And so some
Or
people
like,
open their
oh my
box, some people
God,
don't.
have you seen the Black Mirror episode where when you go on a
I
date with
haven't. Don't
someone?
tell me. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. I've only seen the very first one. I haven't started Black
Okay,
Mirror
no, no, no. This
yet.
I won't spoil the plot. Like, but the premise of this one episode is every time you go on a date, a timer shows you how long the relationship's gonna last.
Look. I might be for that. That one I might can get behind. That feels like it would save me a lot of time and headache.
Yeah, but then what if you like really end up really liking someone and clicking with them and the timer
Here's the
is
thing.
not
If
long?
they're gonna tell me in the beginning, I can't get over it. I can I think I'd be okay. I think I'd survive. I'm just saying, that feels like I would be okay with that.
Well, yeah, I just wait till you watch the episode.
I will. I will.
One day you'll get it wrong.
One day I know. Okay. A lot of headaches in the dating world, so like if you could just tell me, if I could just walk up to someone and be like, "Where you want?"
I mean,
Do you have to go on a date with them, or can you just like walk up to someone?
no, yeah, it's on a date. You go and you sit down on a date and there's like a button that you press that says like that's starting the countdown timer of this relationship.
So you have to go through all the pre-date stuff too first. Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. Still better, still better.
Listen, I knew I was gonna marry Dan before I went on a single date with him because I was not putting up with it anymore.
That's
No.
true. That's true. That's true. I probably won't get married because I'm also not putting up with it anymore. So, it is what it is. What I am putting up with though is is Clarice, and we are on season 1, episode 6. How does it feel to be so beautiful? Which will be explained in the end.
And also, it's a creepy thing to say to someone.
It's so weird. I know. I was like, but the thing is, like, people say stuff like that, like
Oh my God,
to other people.
today I went out to lunch with the girls during work, and the restaurant that we went to for lunch, the waitress, her nephew goes to the school. So she saw like we all had like gear from the school on because everybody wears like Penn West gear on Mondays. And so she asked if we were all teachers, and we were like chatting about the school, and she was like asking about her nephews and if we know them and if they're good students. And this like old man behind me in line was like, "Oh, so you guys are all sophomores at the high school?" Like trying to be like, "You're so young and beautiful." And I was like, what the fuck is this?
Were you like, please don't talk to me, sir?
I was like, thank you, I think.
No, that's weird. That's icky. I don't like it.
Yeah. Men are icky.
I know. Like, it's one thing if you're like, are you a sophomore in college? Because, like, one, you could be our age and be a sophomore in college.
Yeah.
And also, like, you're of legal age if you're a sophomore in college. So, like, it's a little less icky.
Yeah.
I
mean, to be fair, he was like a 90-year-old man. Like this wasn't like it wasn't like a 50-year-old man. It was like a 90-year-old man who thought he was being cute and funny, and like probably his wife died and he's alone, and then I would have an existential crisis and cry about that. But still not cool.
Still not cool. Still not here for it. So don't say this to people. PSA. So it aired April 1st, 2021. It was rated 7 out of 10, which I think is like a smidge higher from last week. Let's see if I can find my notes from last week. Yeah, it was 6.6 last week, so it's 7 out of 10 this week. Which I don't think people know how to rate this show is what's happening.
Yeah.
It just like has weird ups and downs. The number 1 song is Peaches by Justin Bieber, which I am familiar with its existence.
Yeah.
That is not the song Peaches that I know, but I am familiar.
No, in the year of our Lord 2025, Peaches is no longer held by Justin Bieber. Jack Black, always.
Oh, no, I was thinking, who's the 90s band, the 90s Peaches?
Oh.
You know.
The presidents of the United States.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one. I was like, you'll know if I say it enough.
Yeah. The fact that your choices are Justin Bieber, Jack Black, or the President of the United States of America.
Right. Which your era.
Right.
Number 1 movies, Godzilla versus Kong. I never watched it.
I didn't either, but I do remember when it came out.
Yeah. And the number 1 book is Back to the Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. I have a feeling this book is going to be back and forth a lot this year because I think it ended up being the book of the year. But I mean, it was like Kristen Hanna's first.
Yeah.
Hooray. On this day, I want you to know how badly I wanted like the Times to run some kind of April Fool's headline. Or like the like Washington Post. No one wanted to give me a good April Fool's headline. And I was like, I hate all of you. So I didn't get that. I do have some news for you, but unfortunately it's real news, not fake news.
Where I was in life that day, I had nothing. I posted nothing that day.
Yeah, well, a lot of things happened, don't worry.
Okay.
This was the day that we learned of the factory mix-up that ruined 15 million vaccine doses for Johnson & Johnson.
Yeah,
that was a big day. New York legalized recreational marijuana. I do remember that because this was whenever I moved into my apartment in Manhattan. Oh, this was the day I moved into my apartment in Manhattan.
Oh yeah.
Now that I'm saying this, because my parents came in, I think I actually moved in a couple days before, but like April 1st was like of my lease. Because my parents were in town and my dad was just a flutter when we were in Times Square at midnight. And people were smoking weed and we were like watching the billboards like match and everything. And it was just a racket. And then also this is if we're in the Move. I'm sorry.
Oh.
She's like,
I was like, you just glitched out for a second, and I realized it was not important because you were just yelling at Sadie anyway.
oh yeah. Yeah, my internet's acting out today, it says, and I don't know why. But it did say it was unstable a couple of times, so I hope you hear me throughout the day.
It hasn't been this it hasn't been the
Just
smoothest, but it hasn't gone out yet.
okay, good, 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 good.
Yeah.
Hopefully it stays. I don't really understand why it's acting up today. Um, so we're still in the midst of this Andrew Cuomo nonsense. And today is the day that he talked about he was trying to get his $4 million book deal while simultaneously hiding death numbers for COVID. So we're doing great. We're doing great in New York. In case everyone just started getting high. They were like, we have to legalize marijuana because we can't deal with the world anymore. So
It's
people
true.
just need to be able to smoke.
It's true.
Oh,
And also,
yeah.
like, marijuana is probably like the only thing keeping New York State's economy alive at this point. I know
Truly, truly. Listen,
I know someone who owns a dispensary in Buffalo and made $9 million in profit last year.
that doesn't surprise me at all. I did cannabis law conferences when they first started talking about legalizing it in like
Yeah.
18, 19. I don't know,
Yeah.
one of those years. My boss was like, "Can you go to these conferences and take notes for me?" Because he's just one of those people that like picks up different types of law and like
Yeah.
sharpens it. Like you know how I do with life, he also does that with the law. So like he was just like, "Let's learn about this and see if it's something we're gonna do." And I was like, "Okay."
Then I already made the logo for when Chrissy, Kate, and I decide we can't handle being teachers anymore and we're gonna quit and own a dispensary. We already used ChatGPT to create our logo.
Amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? I don't know if you said it glitched for a minute.
What? Oh,
What is your
we're gonna
business?
quit. We're gonna quit and own a dispensary so that we can stop being
Oh,
poor.
sure, 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 sure. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll be your business manager or something. I just want just make sure I have some money. However, we need to do that. So our director, speaking of, I know, was it last week we were talking about there's like no women directors. Clarice over here giving all kinds of women directors spots, which was awesome.
Love that.
So our director this week is Wendy Stanzler. She's known for Sex and the City, Mysterious Benedict Society, Youth and Consequences, and Roger and Me. Roger and Me was her first like big thing. I did mean to say who she worked with, and I didn't write it down, so we'll never know. But Roger and Me was her first big thing.
Have you watched Mysterious Benedict Society yet?
No, but I think I'd like it.
Because so Ryan Hurst starred in it. And
Oh.
when I met him at the con in Phoenix, he was talking about how like obviously like he loved playing chick because he got to do whatever he wanted.
Right.
Like, but
Sure.
the character that he played in Mysterious Benedict Society, he said it was honestly one of the most fun things, and it was really great because he doesn't often play roles that his daughter can watch because she's still, I think she's like 4 at this right now.
Sure.
She's a baby.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't usually get to play roles that she can actually watch because I'm big and scary. And he was like, and my kids love this show.
Oh, I love that.
So I want to watch it.
I'll watch it one day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she started out as an editor on Sex and the City before she directed. It was towards the like last season was when she started directing. But now, as of now, she's directed basically everything. She's directed everything from like Marvel to even like Grey's Anatomy and stuff. Like if there's a hit show, she's directed at least a couple episodes of it.
Love it.
She's like a very private person, it seems. I couldn't find her, like if you look at her Wikipedia, it's just professional credits. If you look at like, you know, sometimes they'll do like Marvel days, I think it was for like Sex and the City though. And they were like, get to know your director, just professional credits, like not even a bio of where she was born. And I did find her Instagram, but it's private, so you follow it. But Skylar Aston follows it, so at least one person, you know, that we like follows her. So that is all the information I have for you about her, but she has done a little bit of everything for directing.
Love it.
And editing. A lot of writers this episode, a lot of the same ones. So Jenny Lumet, Alex Kurtzman, Kenneth Lynn, Tess Leibowitz, and our new one is Selena Cipriaso, which is probably how you say the last name is Cipriaso. I'm going
That sound
Italian, but I think
that
Cipriano.
sounds correct.
Yeah. So she is known for Yellow Rose, Cleaning Lady, and the New General Hospital, which I didn't
Okay.
know existed. I guess it does.
Yeah.
Um, I do like Cleaning Lady though. I've only watched the first season, but I really liked it.
Yeah,
Um,
I heard good things.
yeah, it's pretty suspenseful. And then we had some music in it when I worked at TRO, so I just like, I don't know. That's when I stopped watching it, not really intentionally, but that was when I stopped. Um, she also didn't have a lot like about her, but her name on Instagram is at CC Writer Gal, and I was like, that could easily be my handle.
I could,
Could be for me, but she's already taken it, obviously. So
obviously.
here we are. And our editor is Bartholomew Richam. So Richard. Um, our star today is Marnie Carpenter, who plays Catherine. She is known for Clarice. I put Ellie. She's known for the new Matlock, NCIS, and NCIS LA. So I put Ellie because she plays the daughter on Matlock. So all of her roles are a little like underrated. So like Catherine, obviously she's like important to the show. We don't see a lot of her.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same vibe with Matlock because she's the daughter that died. Like she's the daughter who had a drug problem and died. So they have flashbacks to her, but they don't really have
But she's not like a
her.
developing character.
Right, right. So that feels kind of similar to what's going on. And who knows about NCIS? Like she plays two different characters in each of the different seasons or the
Mm.
different ones, but you never know with those.
Yeah.
She does support a lot of rescue dog stuff that's like all over her Instagram and like her Wikipedia page. The only personal thing about her is that she like foster dogs and supports adoption and stuff. And so she posts a lot of dogs and stuff on her
Okay.
Instagram page. But she's very thrilled and she was very excited about Matlock because apparently like they were like running the tapes or whatever and everybody immediately like was drawn to her and like specifically Kathy Bates like saw her audition and was like she's the one hiring her now. And so like that's pretty good.
That's a pretty solid recommendation there.
Yeah, pretty high praise. So I wish Kathy Bates would say that about me about anything. Like it doesn't matter. Just I'd
Just
take it. I'd do
ever.
it. Whatever it was, it doesn't matter if I ever did it before my whole life. If she
It
was
could
like,
be
she's
it
the
could
one for
be
this,
it
I'd be like,
could be
absolutely.
it could be cleaning Kathy Bates' house and I'd do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you guys know how I feel about cleaning.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, so now we start. And we start with her at the hospital, with Clarice at the hospital, and they're like clipping her nails because she got a hold of the smoking man. And she like they're like pretty sure she has DNA, and so they're gonna run and see what they can find.
Yeah.
And she's talking about Matt to him about him. I'm so sorry. I feel like I haven't slept in a year. I've only been studying for a week, and I'm just saying all my words backwards. Um, she's talking to Matt about the smoking man, and then we go and go to therapy, and the bell is hit, and Clarice is in some kind of like we learn that she's in this like hypnotherapy to remember Woodhaven.
Mhm.
And she's trying to get her to be like, what do you see? What's going on? And she's like, and then she starts feeling the burn from the tracheotomy and she can't feel her legs. So she's coming back to like her senses where she's in the bed and she's
Yeah.
like feeling and seeing everything. And they call it a cognitive interview, which I've never heard hypnotherapy called cognitive interview. That feels like not the right term.
Yeah,
But that's okay.
I don't know. You're right. It feels off. I don't know what the
Yeah.
correct answer is, but I don't think that that's it.
But like we'll have like cognitive evaluations and stuff. It has nothing to do with hypnotherapy.
No.
Like so it's very strange. But I'm gonna start using that frequently in meaning hypnotherapy and see how it goes. So she sees a man that's in a suit, and then she starts picturing Bill as the smoking man with moths coming out of his mouth. And she's like, what do you see? What do you see? And she's like, nothing, I can't see his face, even though she's clearly seeing Bill this whole time.
Yeah.
And So Crittler just says, he's like, tell her she's on leave immediately. Like, she needs to take a break from this. She needs to come back in the field. Um,
Which we talked about this last week. That's a
with
legitimate thing.
Stargate.
Yeah, we talked about this last
Yeah,
week with Stargate, but like, oh, there is a legitimate leave of absence for a law enforcement officer after a trauma. She was
right.
just drugged and held captive. Yes, you can go home for 2 weeks. It's fine.
But
We're
she's
good.
also like on administrative leave, so like she's not like banned from the office, I don't think, but she
No.
just can't be in the field.
Yeah.
And so like she can still research this case if she wants. She's acting like she can't. But she still can. She just can't actively be in the field.
And he says
Um,
to just go home because
yeah.
and relax. And like he's not firing you. He's not mad at you. He wants you to take care of yourself
No.
because you just got drugged and a beat up.
Right. Which is
Girl.
also what he said in the beginning about why he was so upset about the situation with Bill and her joining his team in the first place was about her not taking leave of herself and not making sure she was safe. Like, bless her heart. They also call Cal Majesty, and I don't know why. Um, I never figured that out because I don't think that's like his first name or anything. But they did. So they get the DNA results back from her nails, and they're inconclusive. And everyone's just like, "What the hell?" They're like, This was so clearly going to be like our smoking gun, and it's inconclusive."
Yeah.
And so no one wanted to tell her that she needed to go on leave. They wanted Crinler to do it, but he was like, "No, you guys can do it. I have stuff to take care of." And so Clark just gives her a note that says that she's on leave. I was like, "What a way to do it."
He's like,
Um,
I can't handle this.
yeah. And she's like, it's not, and she does bring up the point we talked about where she's like, "I wasn't shot," because usually it's like when you're shot in the field, that's when they want you to go on leave. First of all, I'd say this is worse. I don't know. I haven't been shot or kidnapped
I
and
haven't been
drugged,
shot, but
but
being given an unsanctioned epidural and then beat to shit while it happens
and
seems
pumped with drugs and almost die and then be brought back to life, like, I'd rather you
I'm
shoot
gonna
me.
go out on a limb and say an epidural, or I mean, a gunshot wound is probably significantly less traumatic.
Yeah, I would guess so. But Esquivel does say he was like, "I can shoot you if that helps. Like,
Which
I will shoot
I
you."
love that moment. He was like, "You want me to shoot you? I got it. We can do this.
Right. I was like, truly, that is how I would respond to you. I'd be like, "Look,
We can do this the hard way or the easy way. I don't."
yeah, yeah." So then we go to the DOJ, and Clarice goes to see the AG because she is a moron, and so she starts telling her that she wants her to override Clinton. She's like, "I just want you to like let me over, like pass over this time." And the AG's like, "You really do need time. Like, everybody's kind of see you as a martyr to the victims." And she's like, "That's literally why you brought me in. Like, you're the one who did this." And like, which is true, but that doesn't mean that she should help her avoid her leave. Um, and the AG's just like, "We'll talk about it, but you have to come to dinner first because you're still avoiding Catherine." And I was like, that is bribery. I
That,
don't
yeah,
know.
no, that is coercion.
Yeah.
And I'm not comfy with it.
Yeah. I don't know if you're allowed to do that as the AG. I'm like 110% sure you're not.
I mean,
So
to be honest, you're not. But who polices the AG?
it's balances, but like somebody's got to report it to be checked and balanced. It's not like
Right, but I
no
mean,
one's like
like,
actively watching her.
well, that's the thing is like the AG is pretty high up on the food chain. There's not a lot of people telling the AG what is and is not legal. Like, oh, the Supreme Court and some
Right.
and some
Sure.
and
Sure.
some oversight committees, and that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah. But you gotta tell those people, or they're not gonna follow her either.
Right.
Like, yeah. So we have the credits, and then we go to her house. And she says that, and she's talking to Catherine. She tells her that she invited Clarice for dinner. And Catherine says she wants to work on her sketches tonight instead. And she's like, "You've literally wanted to talk to her for months. And now you're like, JK, reschedule. Like, no, we're having this dinner.
Right.
Which, like, to be fair, I would also be annoyed about, but I also would not have scheduled the dinner in the first place because that was dumb.
Yeah.
But she says, and she keeps telling her, like, she's telling her mom, she's like, you just wouldn't get it. She's like, you don't understand what I've dealt with. You don't understand what I'm going through, but dad would. And so she's throwing her dad around to guilt her mom because he died, obviously.
Which maybe her dad is a more sympathetic person, but no, I can almost guarantee he would also not understand what you're going through.
Right. Like, unless he also got kidnapped and like thrown into a hole. You probably don't know either, girl. And so then oh, so we learned that the reason that she got through to Clarice the first time was because she called and pretended to be.
Which, no, we knew that.
Did we know that?
We did, but the AG did not. Because remember, she called her back in that first episode. She called her back thinking it was.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So this is the first time the AG is learning of it, but she doesn't back down about dinner. She's just like, "We're doing this."
Yeah.
And goes on her way. So we go back to Matt's place, and Ardelia and Clarice are talking about Clarice going to dinner, and Matt obviously thinks it's a bad idea because it's a bad idea, and but Clarice won't hear it because she's Clarice, and also Matt's like not only is this a bad idea, but also like you going into the field right now is a bad idea. Like none of this is good. So Clarice doesn't care, obviously. And so we go back to the labs, the Lockyer abs. I wrote it down in my handwriting. And so they go to the labs to talk about Maryland. So it's one of the like testing labs that are doing these trials. And they run into the attorney because she's on call. And she says that they really want to help, but they have to do it like they have to, deal with politics. They have to do it the right way. So they're going to send her to the ADA to get some subpoenas and warrants and stuff, and then they can come back and they're welcome to do what they need to do.
Which, while that might sound annoying, that's every single multi-million-dollar corporation's thing because it doesn't really matter whether what they're doing is sketchy or not. They have to protect their assets.
Well, also, to be fair, everyone should do this. Like this is the correct.
Yeah, no. This is no. I'm fully saying no. Absolutely, if you have that much money and assets, protect your assets. Like whether you're
even if you don't have that much money, don't let people in without a subpoena or a warrant. Do not just let people in your house, even if they're the police, because it's just not good. You gotta protect it, even if you don't own anything. That's my legal take on that. But yeah, so it sounds great. The problem is she sounds way too eager to help them, which means that it's not going to work.
Oh, yeah, no.
Even people that aren't hiding stuff that have these big corporations are hesitant because trade secrets and, especially if they're dealing with money assets, that they're like, we're not trying to report all this money right now. Like,
right,
and they just don't want to see their stock whether they're doing anything wrong or not. Like,
and the amount of money in legal fees and corporate time loss, dealing with the paperwork, if you have nothing to hide, is annoying.
Like if you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars an hour on like whatever your product is that you're working on, and then you have to stop that because you have to deal with all of this. Yeah. They don't want that, even if they are like not doing it.
Yeah.
So her being overeager was a red flag. So we go back to FBI and Cal says the only word that he believes in any hospital, because they're obviously like they're not going to let us do any of this, is the cancer ward. And we learned that his wife had cancer and died. And he was talking about how like he was so upset because they like pumped her full of all these chemicals, and she thought that like she'd never have kids because that's a real risk with cancer and going through chemo and stuff.
Yeah.
But then she ended up passing away anyway. So she always wanted to have kids and just wasn't able. And her name was Sophie. And so then we go back to Krindler, and he's sitting down with an attorney. And we learned that his wife has been conflicting him out of all of the other attorneys in town, which is a real thing, but doesn't typically happen because
Yeah.
it's a lot of work. But like if you call and consult with an attorney, now your spouse can't use that attorney whether you use them or not. And so like it's a real thing that happens. However,
Yeah.
it doesn't happen a lot. But it does happen a lot on TV. And so we learned that
Mostly
this
to not waste the money on multiple actors.
like sure. And so well they go for the drama too, because you think about like every other attorney's been knocked out. We have to use the only one that's left, whether they're good or not. Maybe they only represent the crooks. That's what it usually comes down to, is like we have to use the like villain's attorney.
Yeah.
It's no different here. But
well, yeah.
So he's talking.
We don't know.
So he's talking to this attorney, and we do by the end.
Yes, I know, but
right, not in this moment. No, in this moment, we have no idea who this person is, except they knew Mandy growing up, and they're talking about, or at least like maybe high school, college. They knew her before now, and they're basically trying to also redo their divorce pleadings because they didn't get what they wanted. Is what it sounds like. He's like, well, I lost my kid, so I want to help you get your kids.
There's like two ways to take it, and I was really torn on in this moment. Obviously, we know more later, but in this moment, I was really torn on what I thought his motivation was, because he did feel a little slimy just from the beginning. But he was like, my wife was also an unfit mother, but the courts always side with the white woman, which, to be fair, that is often the case where courts side with the woman even when they shouldn't, because and he was like, and there's like, is he vengeful and angry, or is he truly trying to make sure that what the trauma his kids went through doesn't happen to more children?
Well, and I also was like, does he just not like Mandy? Like, because he's known her, and so I'm like, maybe he just doesn't like her. That's why one, she hasn't conflicted him out because she doesn't like him either, and so she didn't go talk to him. And so I was like, maybe he doesn't like her. Maybe he's like you said, maybe he's vengeful because what happened to him, or maybe he's trying to protect these things.
Yeah.
Like,
and I was
like, these are all the things I was thinking too.
They're all very valid, but they are all very different people.
Right. And so it's like, where is he going and what does he want? Like,
what is his motivation? I don't know.
Yeah. And then we'll never know because Krindler gets a page for home. This is 911. And then we go to Matt, and she is cutting up a lemon when she slices her finger. Not nearly as bad as I did with my 14 stitches.
I sliced my finger not really bad at all, like just a tiny bit, but just reaching into my backpack to pull out my computer this morning. So
and it hurts so bad. Like, for no reason it hurts so bad.
So Mia knives, probably not a thing that should exist.
Sure. I mean, you can see my finger that I had 14 stitches in. I'll say I should not have knives. So she starts having these thoughts, and she calls to follow up on the scraping. So she calls like a trusted source, I guess, and where they are now. And he's like, I'm not really supposed to tell you all of these things.
I think it's the other guy.
I think it is too, but I just wasn't certain.
So that's the vibe I got, that it was that guy who's flirting with her.
The guy from a couple episodes ago, yeah.
Yeah.
And so he's like, okay, I'll tell you basically everything. And then so she goes to find them because she just doesn't feel right about it.
Yeah.
As she should.
Yeah.
So we go to the AG's house, and Clarice has arrived for dinner. And Ruth tells her to go take a seat. She's like, we'll set up the table for you. And their housekeeper or nanny, B, hugs her and thanks her for bringing Catherine back. Because we learned that she has been their housemaid since she became the nanny when Catherine was born. So she's been there forever. And then when she's kind of like settling in, like before she goes into the kitchen, Precious comes out. And this is a moment that I didn't realize, but I don't think Clarice knew that Catherine had Precious.
She did.
So I thought she did, but then she reacted like she did.
She did. That was confusing to me because she was reacting.
Okay.
I think My first thought was oh my God, she didn't know Catherine had Precious. And then I was like, no,
Right.
because she literally said on the phone, is that Precious? Like when she was on the phone with Catherine. I think it was more her not realizing how triggering it was going to be to see
Mm.
Precious. I think it was more of a
Yeah,
shock to her system, not a shock to her brain.
that makes sense. That makes sense. Because I wondered that. I was like, I'm pretty sure she
Yeah,
said she'd mentioned Precious
yeah,
before today. So then Catherine comes out, obviously, right after Precious, and she apologizes. And she starts saying, like, she says, "Does it hurt?" And Clarice is like, "What?" And she's like, "Your face," because she still has a cut from, her traumatic situation she just got out of, that she won't let go for a minute. And Clarice is like, "Oh, I'm fine." And she's like, says something else about it. Clarice is like, "It's an open investigation. Like, I can't talk about it." And like, sure, you can't talk about it, but you also don't need to talk about it unless you're talking to a therapist right now,
yeah.
homegirl. So then they all sit down at dinner, and AG's like, I'm having bourbon. Does anyone else want it?" And so Reese and Ruth are having bourbon. And then we start seeing kind of like a different side that we haven't really seen until now. It's like every time Catherine goes to talk, the AG talks over her. And like we've seen that a little bit in their relationship, but we don't see how beat down she feels by Ruth until
Yeah.
now, I feel like. Because like we I mean up until now it's like she's beat down because Dylan isn't over it yet. But it's like it's more than that. And we kind of
It's
start seeing that at dinner.
yeah, and you kind of see like they didn't obviously go a ton into it in the movie in
Mm-hmm.
Silence of the Lambs, but I think it's actually really interesting that what they did was they took this very small image of who Catherine was before Bill abducted
Mm-hmm.
her and were able to create a backstory that fits so well with the 14 seconds we saw of her by herself.
Yeah.
Like she's like driving a beat up car. She's in a bad apartment. She's like talking to her stray dogs. She's clearly rebelling against this family that is not
Yeah.
good for her mentally. And it's almost like she was trapped before she was ever trapped. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that I actually really liked this episode because I really liked the twist because it was the first time I felt like there was a twist in the whole episode or in the whole show. And but B, because I was like, wow, they did something so good that doesn't feel at all like they're retconning a backstory. It feels like, oh,
Right.
that makes so much sense.
Yeah, yeah. So I really liked that. And we get a little bit more of it, but we go to Matt, and she calls the inventory to say like that she has a sample, and they're like, I'm closing it up, like I'm leaving. She's like, it's okay, just like let me in, and then you can leave. I'll run the sample. They're like, okay, cool. So then we're back at AG's house, and this is where and Catherine starts talking about, she's like, I know I'm not stupid, but I feel stupid. And I know I'm not lazy, but I feel lazy. Like, these are all the things that she's getting
Which are
post Bill.
so valid, so
Yeah.
incredibly valid.
Yeah. And Clarice basically, like, sells it that. She basically validates it. She's like, and one of the things that you don't realize is, like, shame is a part of moving through it. Like,
Hmm.
you not only feel all these things, you also feel ashamed. And, like, obviously it's not you, um, but it's just part of it. And then Catherine asked for her, quote, regular plate. Um, and we learned that she just eats yogurt basically, which we knew she wasn't
Which,
eating enough,
yeah.
if anything, but she apparently just eats like a can of yogurt every night.
Which, to be fair, I eat a cup of yogurt for breakfast every day, but that's
Yeah,
not the only food I eat.
right. Like there's probably been a night that I've had yogurt for dinner, but it is not every night. um, and Ruth asked her to be an adult, and it's like, first of all,
Yo,
this
I was,
isn't not being an adult. Like this
yeah.
is like you can say you really need to eat more because you need more nutrients than that. But it doesn't have anything to do with being childlike.
Correct, a
Um,
100%.
um, and the childlike stuff isn't from Bill. This is from the way that Ruth has always treated her. And like
Yeah.
then Clarice starts taking up for Kat, and she's like, this isn't your daughter. Like, this isn't, this is who she is. This is Bill. Like,
Yeah.
she's having these reactions to things because she has response.
Yeah.
Um,
She's like,
and then we learn that the AG receives a package from her office and she disperses. Can you still hear me okay?
yeah, it was a little sketchy for a second there, but you're back.
Okay. Okay, it said my internet was unstable, so I was making sure. Anyway, so we go to Krindler's house, or his ex's house now, I guess. We learn that the kids text him, and he has an older son, Jason, who texted him because uh, the mom won't wake up. And so it's very clear on Jason's face that he thought she was dead and he didn't know what to do
Yeah.
about it. But she's not, she's just passed out drunk and not moving. And Krindler realizes that because he sees the glass and smells the whatever she's drinking. And so he makes sure that she like moves, and so she like makes a noise or like blinks her eyes or something whenever he turns her over.
Yeah.
And
Which
then he
I was
tells
I was a
Jason,
little upset. I was glad that he made her move enough to know that she was like alive. However, she was laying face down and he moved her in a way where she was no longer laying face down. I go, oh, so
right,
when she chokes on her vomit in her sleep, now she will die.
now she will die. Right. I thought the same thing. I was like, obviously that's not the way.
No.
Um, but he also like lies to the kids because Jason's like, did she take a pill? He's like, oh yeah, she took one of her pills and it just knocked her out like it does sometimes. And he's like kind of trying to be like jovial about it so it doesn't seem like as stressed as he is.
Yeah.
But he also tells them to like pack up, they're gonna go to his house tonight. Which is step one on getting your kids custody. Um, so then we go back to the AG's house and Catherine has a present for Clarice. And she made her a scarf without pack a fleece, which is very sweet. And apparently she used to sew all the time before Bill, and she just
Which is so
hadn't.
sad.
Yeah, because then he
So
kind of
sad.
ruined that for her. But then she tells her, she says, "Oh, I have some other news. I found Bill's mother." And Clarice is like,
Yo,
"Whoa."
that was the most unhinged part of it all.
The most unhinged. And I was like, I don't want to judge you because if something like this happened to me, I'm not gonna say I wouldn't do the same thing. I probably wouldn't do anything about it, but I would look up every person this person's ever known. Like, no doubt.
Yeah, yeah, I can honestly say I would not.
Oh, I 100% would. I would look but I don't think I would go visit them.
No.
Like
I
she's like trying to go visit them, and I'm like, I need to know more, but I'm not doing
Yeah, no, I wouldn't want to know
anything. I'm gonna
any.
try and hillside, but
I wouldn't even want to
mm,
see their name in writing ever. Like, I wouldn't
mm,
want anything to do with
yeah,
any part of it.
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So then also at this point, Ruth is coming back, and she says it's for Chris to come. Yeah,
Sorry.
obviously, we all do that.
Yeah.
Um, and Catherine starts saying that she's reminding everyone that Ruth is the one in control, and she's manipulating them all. And she's like, uh, she's mad that AG took her story. She's like, you took my story and you ran with it. This
Yeah.
wasn't your story to tell to benefit from, but that's how you're now where you are. Like, you would still be the senator in Tennessee if it weren't for my story. And she says, and now you're trying to do the same thing and take Clarice's. Um, and then she goes on this whole spiel, and Ruth says that she's glad that her dad's not alive because she would hate for him to see her this way. And I was like, talk about abusive. My God.
Yeah.
Like, this woman, I'm a little nervous to see what else unfolds because she's just like she's the narcissistic CEO type.
Yes.
Um, and so like I don't know what she's doing, but I hope the best for Catherine. And so then we go to Caffeine Chalice, which is this little coffee shop, and we're meeting with the ADA about the subpoenas and the warrants. And she immediately is like, I can't help you. She's like, I know. And they're like, well, no, let me tell you more. And she's like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
She was like, they have too many attorneys. They're killing people. By like the last witness that she had that was like her like sticking witness, they put her mom on the stand who was like in her 90s or something, and then took away all of her health care, and so she didn't have any health support. So theoretically, she died. I don't know if they actually said she died, but they said some people died.
Yeah.
Um, and so she was like, I'm not doing it. She's like, she's like, do your research, find what you can, but at this point, she's like, I'm not saying never, but at this point, I can't give you anything.
Yeah.
Um, so we go back to VICAP, and we also see like things are starting to unravel. So Matt tells Clark that the results came in and they were positive. So we learned the first test was actually tampered with when they were doing the evidence.
Hmm.
And Clark immediately is like, we have to tell Cal and Escobar, which like is the correct choice. Like, use your VICAP team.
Yeah,
Matt still,
she doesn't
yeah,
like the idea of telling anyone. And I'm like, girl, he wasn't even your first choice on who to tell. Why would you?
right,
Like, you came in there looking for Callan Escobar, and then
right,
he was the only option. So you told him, and now you're upset that he wants to tell the people who you were going to tell in the first place.
right.
Girl.
Like your logic is, she's like, we got to keep this small. And it's like, yeah, but you need a team. Like you
Yeah,
can't do
but
this by yourself, obviously.
if it's the five of you, like the four of you and Clarice, like the five of you, that if that's your team, that's the whole team anyway.
Right, right. So it was just wild. So we go back to Ruth. We go back to AG's house, and Clarice starts asking Catherine why she looked for Bill's mom. And Catherine says that instead of really explaining much, she starts talking about how she heard Clarice crying. She's like, I know that you froze until I started screaming. She said, I heard a gunshot, and then I didn't hear anything, and then I heard crying, and then I screamed, and that's when you kind of like came back to. And this is where we see the last words that Bill said were, how does it feel to be so beautiful? And which is like a little heartbreaking and a little scary. Like, because we know that that's all he really wanted.
Yeah.
And like, so it's sad, but also like you can't kidnap people. So like I'm sad that you never felt good in your own skin, but also that you can't take other people's. So like,
Yeah,
it's kind of a
it's kind of a sticky situation when your response is murder. Like,
right, right. Um, so Clarice says that oh, so then so Catherine goes to leave. She's like, I'm going to Bill's mom's house. And Ruth is just like sitting on the couch drinking and she's like not moving. And Clarice is like, we have to get her. Like, we can't let her do this. And Ruth is like, I would be more concerned if I thought she could make it past the elevator. And of course, a few seconds later, Catherine comes back in because she can't make it past the
yeah.
elevator.
Which was kind of sad because, like, in that moment, you're like, okay, Ruth is probably a terrible mom, but also it's been a year of this is the only thing that her daughter does day in and day
right.
out. And that's really hard.
Yeah. So like you do have to cope in some way.
Yeah.
And so like just nonchalantly, she's like, so shall we talk about your job? And Clarice is like, not like this.
Yeah.
Like
No,
obviously.
feels a little icky, and I'm good.
And so we see her go back to the hypnotherapist again. We don't see what happened yet, but we see her go back.
Yeah.
And then we're back at BICAP, and Map is talking with Cal Escobar, and they're talking, and Clark basically says, like, we tell no one. He's like, we know that there's someone up the line, someone stopped the autopsy, or changed the autopsy results, someone changed the, like, the DNA under the fingernails results. Like, we don't know who's doing what, so we can't tell anyone.
Yeah, we do not trust anyone at this point.
Right. And so then we go to our cognitive interview, and she hits the bell again, and Clarice is back at Bill's house. And she hears last words, and then she hears Catherine again while she's sitting there in a panic. And the doctor tells her, like, let it go dark. She's like, let yourself see this. And then Clarice, but she starts like kind of panicking, and she's like, Catherine is right. She's like, that's exactly what happened. And then she starts flashing back. And then she's flashing back, falling on the floor and crawling. And then she sees his face, but she doesn't know him. However, the next scene is Krindler calling the attorney to retain him. And it's the smoking man.
Which, when she sees his face and she's like, I don't know him, I was like, wait, but we do, don't we? We
Yeah,
know
I was
that
like, he looks
guy.
really
I was like, he
familiar.
looks really familiar. And then they flash to the next scene and I go, oh, that's why. Got
And I'm
it.
glad they did tell us very quickly because that was one like I didn't know his face well enough yet to have
Yeah,
recognized it, but
right.
I knew it. So like I was okay with instant gratification for that. Um,
Yes.
but
Because we
yeah,
still don't, because
so
we still don't understand the why or how.
oh, absolutely not. Right. We still don't, but at least we now know
We know
that
that
he
there's
is both
definitely more
evil.
to this story, which we knew, but like we still don't understand the why or how.
Yeah. We did have one deleted scene, which doesn't change a lot of anything, but it's just
The
Chandler waking up on the couch and Jason bringing in groceries, telling him to leave so that there's no fight with Mandy.
Yeah, I think the only thing it changes is well, because in the actual episode they went with Krenler back to his house, and in this one
Right.
they didn't. And
Mhm.
in this one, you in the deleted scene you got to see more of the basically PTSD that his son has about them
Yeah.
fighting and having to be the only adult in the house.
I was gonna say, and also he's the only adult. Like he's the one buying the groceries and cooking dinner and stuff.
Well, and
Like,
we also learned when we first met Krenler and his soon-to-be ex-wife that they were both having
mhm.
drinking problems and that Krenler got clean basically to save the marriage. So
Right.
how long were they drinking before that happened? How much has this poor kid like experienced basically?
Yeah.
And so that's the only thing that having that scene would have kept in.
Sure.
Which again doesn't
Yeah.
really change the story, especially since we're not getting more than a season of the show. We're not gonna get time to delve into the trauma of Krenler's teenage son. So it really
Yeah.
doesn't do much. It is a nice character piece, it's just not necessary.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, that makes sense why they cut it because we don't have time to go into it. Um, but I don't have any trivia. So do you have any thoughts and feelings about this episode?
Like I said, I really liked what they did with Catherine's backstory. And I do
Mhm.
appreciate that I didn't see the lawyer having any connection to this. Like that was a genuine twist that I did not call two
Yeah,
episodes before it happened. Um,
right.
I did think that Krenler was the one that they were going after. Like he's their key to getting into
Who was going after?
like whoever the lawyer is or working for.
Oh,
I
yeah,
did
yeah.
I did think Krenler was the like pinpoint, not necessarily Clarice. Like I think Krenler's who they're actually
Mm,
after.
I think
Um,
so too.
but but that was I appreciated the fact that there was actually like a twist that twisted.
Yeah. Well, and
So
I agree. I also think it's prisoner because if you think about like the last episode or episode before last or whatever, like he's the one who's worked with these people before. And so he's like, I know the people that make the changes that aren't necessarily supposed to be made. So like
yeah,
we know that he has a history with these like sketchy people, even though he doesn't know who they are and doesn't know like what their deal is. He's the only well, him and Clark are the only direct connections because Clark has also done some work with them. He had said. So I think it's gonna be through. I mean, it's gonna be through one of them because they have at least a little bit of trust with these people, even if they don't
right.
realize it. Um, yeah, I liked this. I liked this episode too. I liked the Catherine backstory. I liked that we didn't just like pick up and forget that Bill didn't exist.
Yeah.
Like I was concerned, especially because it was only one season. I was like, they're gonna show us because I mean they did in the very first episode. They were like, here's what happened, and now here's a new story, and like that's fine too. But also like we don't have Clarice without that story,
Right.
and so I didn't want to just completely leave it. And so I am glad that we're at least
Addressing
addressing it
it.
and
Yeah.
bringing it in a little bit more. Um, yeah, so it's fine. I thought the episode was fine.
Yeah.
I'm interested to know what's going to happen with our guy and see how it goes. So, who do you want to punch in the face?
The smarmy lawyer, obviously. Because
Sure,
I
that
kind of
makes
wanted to punch him in the face before I knew he was like legitimately a
mhm,
villain. So
yeah.
the actual
Well,
villainy doesn't help.
he kind of felt a little bit like uh Oh my gosh. Who are psychologist that's not Hannibal?
What?
From Hannibal, who's the guy?
Chilton?
Yeah, he kind of gave like Chilton vibes of like, I'm
Okay.
here to like sneak my way in and like get the like I
Yeah.
want to be the one that makes the glory. I want to be the one that makes the money and like do this thing. That's kind of the vibe I got from him going in.
I feel like he's
Um,
got like Kinsey vibes.
yeah, yeah. But a little less. I don't. Well, until the end, I didn't think he had the same power that Kinsey had, though, which is why I
Yeah.
was thinking more about Childress. Because I was like, he doesn't really have the
Yeah.
power he thinks he
But I
does.
think he
Childress. Well, I
does.
could call him Childress.
I
I
don't
think he
know.
does too now. Um, yeah, I think he has. I think he has more power than Kinsey. Um, so I'm gonna punch Ruth
That valid. Totally
because
valid.
I know she drove me crazy. So who's your MVP?
Um, Ardelia?
Yeah, that's who I would have picked too. Um, oh yeah, so that's who I would have picked. So I think who I'm gonna pick now. I think I'm gonna pick Escobar. I've picked Escobar, I think, every time, but I think I'm gonna pick him for like threatening to shoot Clarice so she'd take her time off.
That's fair. My
So,
the other one, Krenler's son would have been the other one that was in my
oh, sure.
my
Yeah, that's a
list
good one.
because
Yeah,
he did the right thing, which
because bless his heart. Yeah,
so few people on the show are doing the right thing.
sure. Which is very true in all of the Hannibal universe.
True.
Yeah.
I feel like in
All
most
right.
TV,
True.
people don't do the right thing.
True. Well, on that note, if you want to talk to us, you can email us, deathandaliens@gmail.com. You can find us on all of the social media at Death and Aliens. You can find me at CECloud13.
And you can follow me everywhere at EMKAY_superstar.
And we'll see you for our season finale of season 7 of Stargate. I guess I should have like told the
Yeah,
show.
whatever.
Bye!
Bye.